Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Menino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hey guys, I'm Nariman Hamden, and this is Driven Unscripted Success podcast. We've got a great guest on today. We have Marty Jacknis. Marty has been in the leadership industry for 20 plus years. Marty is known as the ultimate opportunity maximizer. He is the president at Opportunity Maximizers. He's an expert professional speaker and educator, and he also is an author. How you doing, Marty?
I'm doing wonderful.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for zooming in. Where are you zooming in from?
Naples.
Right in my backyard.
I love it here. It's a very special place. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. So where are you from originally?
Connecticut.
Okay. How long you been in Florida?
About 10 years now.
Very nice.
I was in Destin before this, so I've been here in Florida a lot, but I miss the seasons and the snow and all those good things up north. But yeah.
Yeah, I miss the seasons. I could do without the snow.
Yeah, at least the first day is beautiful.
Yeah, first day is pretty.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm like, okay, take me back to Florida.
Yeah.
It's nice and warm. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got to where you are today?
I had a rough beginning. My parents were immigrants and poor. They didn't go real much formal education, but they were wonderful, wonderful parents. And what happened is I had a learning disability, and I was 405th out of 412 kids in high school junior year. Only 7 were worse, and didn't know till the last day of school going to graduate. So that was kind of a difficult start.
Sure.
And, I wound up getting into a pretend college for a year, and then just a regular local college because I had to work and pay for stuff. And I got married a week after graduation, and my mother-in-law said, "Marty, get a real job," because I was doing Amway and short order cook and all kinds of different things. But she says, "Get a real job. Go to a company like IBM." And so what happened is I did apply to Procter & Gamble, and it was amazing how fast rejection letters come in. Okay. So I went to IBM. My degree was personnel, industrial relations. And they said, "Kid, we don't hire kids for that here. You have to go to Armonk, New York. I'll give you 2 choices. I can throw you out now or let you speak to the sales manager, then throw you out." I said, "I'll take B." I walk in, this guy has this power suit, beautiful office, beautiful view, and all this. We're having a nice conversation. And then I had a bumblebee moment. I'll tell you what those are in a minute. And I asked for my application back. And he gave it back to me. And I took a pen and crossed out what I was asking for salary, added thousands of dollars to it, and gave it back to him. And he's looking at me like, "Why did you do that?" I said, "I was applying for personnel, staff function, customer sales. I'm really good. I'll make you a lot of money. I'm worth it." And he was tortured because he wanted guys from Cornell and above. He offered me a job on the spot.
That's great.
And the next day, he had me meet with some of the elite salespeople. These guys who went to the elite universities and had masters from those companies. And they said, "Marty, welcome to to IBM. What do you think of the new modem?" I said, "What's a modem?" "Oh, Marty, it's a modulator, demodulator." I said, "What's that?" "Well, it takes a bit stream and a parity bit, goes 1200, 4800 baud." And I'm saying, what are these things? I didn't know. So I didn't want to look that dumb. So I kept asking questions and realized in those days, computers went over phone lines and they would say beep, beep, but phone lines would understand boop, boop. So between the computer and the phone line, they had to put a little box, turns a beep to a boop at one end, the other end turns a boop back into a beep at that end. And you can communicate depending on how much information, how fast, you get a bigger, smaller one. And that changed my life, because what happened is all these folks were talking above the heads of our customers, because I was involved in the first technological computer tidal wave. And right now we have to learn how to surf versus suffer from the technological tidal wave and knowledge tsunami. So I was there when they first came out, but all these brilliant guys were talking over the heads of customers. So the first lesson that I found is that you have to learn enough about something that you can communicate it simply enough that I can understand it, and so could CEOs. And I went on in IBM. I wound up in the top 2% nationally. won all the major awards, and they had phenomenal education and paid for my master's. And they sent me to all kinds of schools on manufacturing and finance and banking and that sort of thing. And so I started out there. I was very, very fortunate, and
Sure.
it gave me a basis, for going forward. And then from there, I was I wanted to already get promoted, and I was averaging like 300%. And I made a deal with my boss. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a year's worth of business the next 6 months if you give me the highest title that they have there. And I want to go to staff for 6 months and then have my own unit. And I'll give you a year's worth of business so you won't lose anything from me if you do that. So we shook hands. They gave me the highest title. They gave me a nice raise. And I didn't do the 100% for six months. I did 240% of a year's business in 6 months. So
That's fantastic.
I walked over to him. I said, I'm ready. And he puts his arm around me. He says, we need you. With 400,000 employees, why did they need me that much? So a company was going out searching for people like me, and they made a deal I couldn't reject. And it was doing tax leverage leasing on multi-million-dollar deals. And they offered me everything. So I went there, but they didn't have good education. And I was struggling. For 7 months, I didn't make a sale. Here I went from being at the top of one of the top companies in the world, and now I'm either going to quit or probably get fired and show what a bad decision I made. So I went out prospecting to one of the major Wall Street companies and to see if they needed leasing there. And I met the head of leasing, and he says, Marty, you just missed out. I just signed a 3-year deal. If you want to come back in 3 years, I'll be happy to meet with you. And nice guy. And then there I was saying, okay, I'm dead. And something happened, which was, I didn't know where it came from. I said, do you know a lot about leasing? He says, yes, I do. I says, I don't, and I'm new. Can I buy you lunch? I'd like to learn about leasing from a customer and prospect. So he wound up with 3 lunches, and he also was a track coach. And we talked a lot. And then the stock market went from 29 million share days to almost 80 million, and he ran out of capacity, 3 years of capacity in like 3 months. And he had to put out another bid. He says, would you like to bid on this? And I said, sure. And I wound up with a multi-million-dollar deal. And 2 weeks later, because of what I learned over lunch, I closed another multi-million-dollar deal. Then I got a cable from the president saying, congratulations, you're in the leaders conference, and please join us for a week in Las Vegas to celebrate all that. And I wound up in the top there. Okay.
That's fantastic.
And so what happens is a lot of people just take no and walk away, but something happened in my mind. And just like in IBM, I don't know where it came from for me to ask that paper back. These are things I didn't plan. So there's something that happens with our minds or our gut, and we should listen to it a lot when you go.
Sure.
So I went from there, and that company got into trouble. One of their other divisions was selling real computers, and they wanted to be the fastest growing billion-dollar company. So they were really buying a lot of computers, and IBM came out with a new computer, and they made up a lottery, and people wanted to see where they came out. So for 3 months before they told them where you are in the lottery, no one bought anything. So all that extra inventory they bought, they went bankrupt. And here I am, in this company, and guys are running for the hills. And I made so many sales to major companies, I didn't want them to get hurt. So I volunteered to stay on at the end to make sure that all of our customers were treated properly. And I did that, and they appreciated it so much, they gave me an additional $130,000 quarterly commission check.
Well, that was nice.
Doing that. And I also can use those other companies there for my other business.
Sure.
And then I got a very strange phone call. Someone calls up with a foreign accent. We hear you're good and even honest. And we want to talk. So the next day, I meet a young Israeli physicist, had 185 IQ, and he came from 13 generations of writers and scholars in Israel. And his dad was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence. And he
Wow.
found out there was a flaw in the logic behind all the manufacturing systems in the United States, assuming we had infinite capacity, we only had finite. And so that they weren't getting the schedules they should get. So we started a company together, and I had to do all the marketing and sales and hiring and get capital. And we wound up being the sixth fastest growing private company in the United States.
That's amazing.
And so what happened then is we had a meeting, and Ellie's a brilliant guy. And he says, Marty, why are we so good? I don't take no for an answer, if I believe it's right for all parties and that sort of thing. And he said, not that. What's your process? I said, I don't have a process. You have to have a process. Someday you're going to wake up and you're not going to be doing well and won't know how to get back there. And I want to hire a bunch of little Martys and teach them how to be a big Marty. So I need to know your process.
Huh.
And then he looks at me and says, you have to learn how to think. And I was a 300% performer the last 10 years, and he's telling me I'm thoughtless. So I stormed out, and I couldn't sleep that whole night because he was right. And I came back the next day. You're right, Mr. Guru. I have to learn how to think. How do you learn how to think? He says, that's for you to figure out. And that's when my whole journey really started, because I was doing these things, and it forced me to ask why and to look at things differently. Why did I do well at IBM? We had a sales call at IBM, and I sold 300% more than all the other guys. And I got a gold key or something like that for it. And what happened is I realized that what I was doing unconsciously and intuitively was a different way of thinking that I could teach to anybody, so they'll maximize the return of any activity that they have. But there I did it unconsciously, intuitively. Now I started getting excited. I can actually learn things to give to other people to let them wind up be 300% performers, because I was my whole life. Now I knew why. And when you have kids that they say, why mommy, why daddy, why? And they get to puberty and it says, I want. And they don't go back to the why. So whoever's listening here, go back to that work why and keep asking those things. And all of a sudden, things just open up in a beautiful way. And so I learned a lot there. And then I kept doing other things. And I wound up, one of my clients was Florida Power and Light. They were the top quality company in the world. And they asked me, Marty, I want to know why you were so successful. What was the best thing you ever did?
Sure.
So we went, he made up a chart and created a thing called 2020 hindsight insight. Because now I looked at all the steps that we really went through, and I didn't realize there was 20 steps and all the things that happened. I wanted to speak at sales and marketing executives in New York. I called the executive director, and he says, Marty, we love to have people speak, but we want only known people. I don't know who Marty is. So before I hang up on you, I'll give you a choice. I can introduce you to the boonie selectors, the guys in the suburbs. If you do well in there, I might let you speak here. So he gave me two names, a guy from Pitney Bowes and one from GE. The Pitney Bowes guy left Pitney and left the chapter, lost opportunity. The GE guy, I called him. We had a nice conversation, and he said, why don't we have breakfast? So the next step, we put down breakfast. And it was amazing, because at the end of the breakfast, he paid and gave me four names of four division heads of GE with his recommendation. And 10, 15, 20 steps further, I had a major, relationship in doing work for GE. And I looked at this thing and didn't realize it was like 27 steps, and all the insights, all the inhibitors, all the open opportunities. It really let us learn from the past in a nice way. And then I asked myself, what was the real secret to that? It had nothing to do with my salesmanship. It had to do on the fourth step there where we had breakfast. And why did he really pay for my breakfast when I should have? And why did he give me those references? And it was because when he heard what I did, he wanted to emulate that. He wanted to leave a big company and start his own like I did.
I see.
And I parked my agenda and I gave him a roadmap. If he wanted to do it, this is what you do. And he felt so beholden. He gave me those references, paid for my breakfast. So a lot of us, I didn't know then that was the real reason I made my best sale ever. Had nothing to do with my salesmanship. It was one human being helping another. And I would like to keep the world better than I found it, kind of thing.
Sure. So, With your experience of what you shared, just walking in off the street to IBM and, you know, being confident in getting that position and leading to multiple other areas in your life, what's a skill or habit you think doesn't get enough credit for contributing to your success?
I think we have to be proactive, and a lot of people are reactive. A lot of people have self-limiting beliefs. I can't do that. And since all the doors were closed to me because of my education and things like that, I had to take the road less traveled and I had to go through the back door. It's amazing how many of those back doors were wide open and they weren't crowded. And a lot of these people weren't going to the right decision maker. They go to someone lower who really doesn't have the authority and responsibility to do that. And so I when I started that company with the Israeli, I had to I targeted 43 CEOs of major companies, and I didn't have money for marketing, so I just had to cold call them. I actually got through to 40 out of 43 of these CEOs
Incredible.
major companies had and I then later on, because I became introspective, I now know what I did in the first 20 seconds to get through the assistant and what I do in the first 5 minutes to get the CEO to listen to me and give me 15 minutes, which allowed me to get a 1 to 3 hour meeting with him and his team. So I never really got to that point earlier in my life to say, what's the process? What really happened? And what can I do to increase it? And what are my inhibitors and what are my opportunity maximizing enhancers? So, and it was fun because later on, because I, but the Dr. Goldra says, Marty, you know, you have to go out and you have to write, you have to speak and things like that. So I called up Inc. magazine and I said, gee, I'd like to write some articles. And they said, send us some, we'll consider them. I said, no, I won't write it unless you'll guarantee you'll publish it. He says, I can't guarantee I'll publish it. Look, I want a relationship. Can I come up to Boston and present to you and your team my ideas? I'll be, and he said,
Sure.
fair. He says, yeah, that's fair. And because I knew if I sent my writing, they rejected instantly. So I went up to Boston, presented for 3 hours to the editor and four of his people, and they loved 11 stories. And I wound up publishing three very quickly, did a couple $100,000. And then I found out that Inc. magazine has a new conference on growing companies. And I didn't speak professionally. So I said, can I possibly speak? Oh, Marty, we love your work. Be happy to have you. 6 months, I'm on Maalox and Gelusol and all these things. Nervous as hell. But I have to go up there. And a lot of people that you're talking about, they don't step out of their comfort zone, and they really should. And I was nervous like anyone else. So I got there, and they don't tell you how many people will show up. 500 I looked behind the curtain, 500 CEOs showed up for my first speech. I went back and threw up, cleaned myself up, got into a zone, and didn't even know how to end. So I just stopped. And everyone's looking like, what's going on here? And I had a standing ovation, came out second out of 61 speakers. And Inc. comes over and says, Marty, everyone's talking about your speech. Can you speak the last day in this small conference room for the poor souls that missed you? And I said, okay. I go up there, every seat, the 75 seats are taken, people standing around here, standing in the back, sitting on the dais, and 70 people were in the hallway listening to my speech. And I did $250,000. And I was thrilled, but I didn't know why I was successful. So I sent my copy of my speech to an NLP guru. It says, Marty, every 8 to 11 minutes, you repeat the same process. I didn't know that. And I came up with a Marty speech process. And 5 years in a row, I had the largest audiences and the highest ratings and never had to sell again because everyone came up after and wanted to do business with my company. So
That's incredible.
So what happened is a lot of people have self-limiting beliefs and say, I can't do that, but they really can. And or find some friends that to help you, get out of your
Sure.
comfort zone. Yeah.
Sure. So I'm sure leading a team has its challenges. What's your leadership style? And can you give us an example of how it helped you through a tough spot?
I want to hire and motivate and empower my team. I don't want to micromanage anyone. I just want a dynamically integrated team of people. And what happens is we would give out, Christmas or holiday bonuses. No one would even call and give us a thank you. So what
Huh.
I did is I went to the bank in those days and we had the old silver dollars and I got bank bags and I put 100 in each bag and walked into our big party with a little wheelbarrow with all these things. And said, Hannah, come here. I have a little extra gift for you this year. And he holds this thing. It's heavy. I says, we're the best in the world, not for one reason, 100 reasons, and you're one of the 100. So this is a little extra thing, but you can't do it to buy tires or pay electric bills. You have to either do something to pamper yourself and your family or do something charitable. And everyone was like, their eyes were like, and the next year, you ever see Risky Business, that movie? I got
Bits and pieces.
I got that outfit and I got a big satchel and I got packs of 50 $2 bills that were wrapped in the satchel. So I walk into the room, I'm looking around, I unzipped it and put it on a little opera table, this pile of this money. So this is real money, but it's twice as valuable as the money that you have in your pocket. And what two means teamwork, two means synergy, two means we'll probably double again. And I want to challenge you to, again, the same thing, but I want you to do something with this money. And when I do my speeches and whatever, I give everyone a $2 bill first. And I said, look, you already made money from me as a speaker before I even spoke. And no other speaker can do that, right? But a month from now, the question is, will you still have the $2 bill, or will you make 20 or 50 or $1,000, from my ideas? Someone made 40,000, another one did 40 million, and another guy 100 million in new business.
Incredible.
And I want you to take notes of all the things that are happening. So, and then the next year was the holidays. And I'm a chocoholic, and there's a great chocolates here. And he made statues, like 2 to 3 foot chocolate statues as centerpieces. So I got one for every one of my employees and had them all set up. And I said, I want you to take one of these home for the holiday. In the beginning of the week, I want you to put it in the center of your table. And I want you to look at it and say, you're the centerpiece of our company. So what we did is everyone became totally involved, and I created a management game where I can take any number of people from 14 to, I did it for 1,000 people at a time, where I can create a highly functioning self-directed team where everyone knows what everyone's supposed to do at what stage in the process. And how and once I start the game, we wind up with 4 orders of magnitude increase in productivity, and I can develop and teach all the good rules and regulations of good management and good leadership. But they experienced it. Because I say we want to initiate and sustain a culture and process of opportunity maximization, innovation, continuous improvement. They'll say, what the hell is he talking about? But when I do the game, at the end, I say, if you had a choice of being in a company the way it's been run up to this point in time, or the way we did this, almost 100% say, I want my culture to be that way. So we have to change the way that we work with people. Everyone has to understand how critical what they do means to the whole company and how to appreciate everyone else. So I really let them look at the world differently and become involved in this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when you're building your team, what's the one trait you're always looking for and why?
I want honesty and I want integrity, obviously. But what I do is I utilize 2 tools. I use the predictive index of personality profiling because every job needs a certain personality to function.
Sure.
And also a certain level of intelligence. I use Wonderlic because you can't teach people intelligence, okay?
Yeah.
And you can't teach them personality. So it really saved me an awful lot because in this tool, in only 3 minutes before I interview someone, I can take a look at what their personality is and then ask questions and see if it's, because I put the right people in the right places. It's right for the individual and it's right for the company. So you really want to put the right team members there, and and you have to really let them know that you appreciate and value them and what they do. So there's a number of things we did, and I had very little turnover. We went and had a survey done, and the guy said he never saw that many people agree to the survey, and we came up in the high 90s in every area, of either customer satisfaction and employee satisfaction.
That's impressive. It's very impressive.
But I care about people.
Yeah, for
I,
sure. And
I,
it shows,
and I
you
want to
know,
leave the world better than we found it.
absolutely. Absolutely. So how did you and how do you encourage your team to think outside the box and bring new ideas to the table?
We, I would do breakout sessions with them, and we would, uh, I do mind mapping a lot, and I want to challenge people to do things. I would send out teams. I was teaching negotiations, so I took for a GE class, and I sent them to 6 different restaurants we were considering to have dinner at, on Thursday night. And I wanted to negotiate using all the concepts, whatever, win-win and all that sort of thing. And they had to come back and present it. It was unbelievable. Here they're working as a team, and they're going in there, and they know what criteria, and what are the things that we can negotiate and whatever. And it changed them totally, because they went out and here's a theory, but I went and actually had them go over lunch and negotiate the dinners, and we saved like 40 to 60%. And this guy gives us, and one brought back the entertainer. I mean, there's all kinds of different things. So I like to use experiential exercises. And with the CEOs, when I would do sessions, I would give them a thing they have to prepare for a 4-minute presentation on something. Everyone had to prepare. And then we wound up with two volunteers. And so everyone went through it. And now they're watching these 2 souls execute it. And if I say that you have self-limiting beliefs, thinking, planning, and decision making, I said, Marty, get out of here. But when I did that exercise and I said, you guys don't think, and all of a sudden they said, the guy is right. So you have to use experiential exercises to let people know they don't know, and the consequences of embracing it or not. And I love doing those things, and it's fun for everyone, because otherwise they throw you out and they say, I don't want you dissing me. I'm not dissing you. I'm just letting you know what reality is. But we're holding up a mirror to these people in a safe way. And everyone will change if you make change comfortable for them.
Sure.
That sort of thing.
Sure. So what does a day in your life look like, and how do you juggle work and everything else?
Well, I'm semi-retired, but I can't really. I don't like. What I do is every day I work out first. I was doing like 14, 16,000 steps a day, but when I'm doing my walking and stuff and working out, I dictate, because I get all these ideas, and it's like God's giving me a gift here, and I want to capture it. So I have the ear things on the phone. So I work out, but I productively work out, and I think while I do it. And I like writing,
Sure.
and 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 I like to when I go through a day, I try and make someone's day, and I tell a story. I can tell you the story, and then I watch the reaction. There was a guy on a plane on row 22. He had to go to the restroom. Long line of coach. Not many people went first. So he went up to first. The attendant stops him and says, "Sir, that's first." "I know, ma'am. I have to go restroom." "Sir, it's only for first class pass." "I know, ma'am, but I really have to go." She thought and said, "I'm sorry. Those are the rules. You have to go back." He goes all the way back, coach, a long line, makes it just in time, gets back to his seat. There's a bottle of champagne on it. I say, "What's this?" She walks over and says, "Sir, I was thinking what happened. Even though it's company policy, I think it was rude and wrong. And I hope I didn't cause you any stress or inconvenience. And it's my way of saying I'm sincerely sorry." And he married her.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So what
I did
people
not
say,
expect that.
right. So what people say like you, when they react like that, it means you have a wonderful soul, because everyone loves to see something happen. So I say
Sure.
it randomly. So when I go out now and and someone's just nice somewhere, I just tell them the story. They say, "Oh, you gave me goosebumps," or you gave me
Yeah.
hope. And imagine just words, and this
Sure.
is impersonal. Imagine creating a vision or a picture of something even that happened there, many miles away, and all of a sudden you gave someone a physical response like this and whatever. So part of what I do every day is I want to make people feel good.
Well, you definitely got that part nailed. You got me on that one. So that was wonderful. That was so joyous. Wow. Now I get it.
You get it.
Yeah, now I
But
get it.
and then when I tell the people that your response says you have a wonderful soul because you love to see good things happen to good people.
Sure.
And
Yeah, that's for
we
sure.
need more of that in this world.
Oh, absolutely.
So remember
Absolutely.
that sort of thing.
So, has there been a book, a podcast, or someone that's really changed your outlook or approach?
Well, when I worked with Dr. Goldratt, he wrote a book called The Goal, and it was about a plant manager in trouble. And the president says, if you don't fix this in 90 days, we're going to have to close the plant. It's going to destroy the area. Everyone's going to be in trouble. I know you're a good guy and fix it. And he meets this crazy little Israeli, and they go through this whole thing, and finally, through divorces and all kinds of things, they fix it. All the major publishers rejected it. We self-published, and we sold over 6 million copies. And it's now in one of the books in the top 100 best business books written because they made it very simple. I loved it because he made learning interesting. And just like when I do all my experiential things, I want people to experience it. I want them to have fun. I want all those kind of things. So I keep things simple and meaningful. And I have a personal thing I tell to my people at the end of my speeches. There's my father, when he was 83, they told me he had a month to live. His heart was all gunked up. And he calls me and says, they tell me I have a month to live. And the only thing that maybe can extend my life is a new operation they're working on called the bypass or something. I'm doing it tomorrow. I realized I might lose my dad, and I never told him how much I respected and admired this man and how he worked so hard and everything. So I immediately got in the car, drove to the hospital, and there he's sitting up in the bed, all upbeat and everything. And I
Sure.
had the story ready, and I was going to tell him this, and a little invisible guy jumps to my shoulder and says, "You can't tell him that." He says, "Why?" Because you say this now and haven't said it in 40 years, he's going to think you know something that he's going to die. It might affect his will to live. Another guy jumps on this shoulder, says, "Wait a minute, you got to tell him this could be your last chance, go for it.
Sure.
So I'm having this debate and came up with the conclusion that I love him and admire him so much. I couldn't do this because it could hurt him more than help him at this moment. I shook his hand and I said, "I'll see you tomorrow." He made it through the operation, and I went to see him, and we started talking, and he was talking strange. And after a while, I said, "Do you know who I am?" He says, "Aren't you the doctor?" He had a stroke,
Oh,
paralyzed on his left side. Since he thought I was a doctor, I just turned away. I didn't want him to see me crying. And 72 hours later, his mind cleared and his paralysis went away. 5 days later, we got him home. And I saw my parents. And I said, we're all going to die sometime, somehow. And knowing you two, you're going to pick a very inconvenient time and place. And
jeez.
and Dad, your hearing is so bad you won't be able to hear what I have to say there. Let me tell you now. And I did pre-eulogies for them, and they smiled from ear to ear. And he lived 11 magnificent more years that I enjoyed him. But
That's
I
incredible.
think all the people that you love, I want you to go out, and even though they know that you love them, do a pre-eulogy, and you'll just see them glow. Little things like that.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh, is that fantastic? So, how do you tackle learning new things, especially stuff that's way outside of your comfort zone?
I'm doing that now. I spoke to Apple because I can't use artificial intelligence for my book because the publishers want you to do it. So I'll do it a different way, but I really want to maximize the use of AI and whatever for even planning for this. So I went to Apple, and they put us on uncomfortable, little seats and whatever, and it's noisy. And I said to the business people, I said, I didn't want to do emojis. I really need this, and I want to learn how to do things better and whatever. So they got together, and I got a call. They're making some new classes now for people like me to say, what can I do to really increase my productivity and effectiveness, and not only surf, but I'm going to teach people how to surf versus suffer from the technological tidal wave and knowledge tsunami. And since that was
Sure.
the first tidal wave at IBM, it was a major impact. Now this tidal wave is much bigger and much faster. And knowledge in 1900 was available to mankind was doubling every century. 1945 was doubling every 25 years. By 2000, it was doubling every year. And then it was by 2020, it was doubling every month. And knowledge available to us will be doubling every 12 hours soon. So we're in a brave new world. So for us to stay current and relevant, we really have to start embracing all these new tools. And I think it was the Harvard MB. Harvard said AI is not going to take jobs away. Individuals who embrace and use AI are going to take jobs away from people who don't. So
Absolutely.
I can sit here and suck my thumb and curl my hair, but I'm going to be part of helping them to design a new kind of class, for Apple and people like that, and stay current. And I found I did a really great 3-day thing I turned companies around. I have a 90-day plan to turn companies around, but I really did a great thing, and and I was trying to clean up my computer and found out that we actually did 25 videos of me doing that training. It was one of the best trainings I ever did. But now I have all that, and I said, okay, how do I get all that stuff from there into transcripts and then edit it quickly and then find what do I want to use or not? And I found out very quickly there's some really great technology I can do it. So I think anyone who's listening to this, no matter where you are, whatever age, your life will be so much better and so much more interesting and more productive if we start learning and ask simple questions, because they don't say you're dumb because you don't know this particular application. So I'm staying current, and it's exciting. But a lot of the wisdom that I have is universal and it won't change over time, just like those little stories I'm telling you.
Sure.
But that sort of thing. So every day I love getting up. I love asking why. I want to transfer knowledge to people, and I think we all should. And the biggest payment is really when I saw that smile on your face with that story. You say, "Oh, you
Yeah,
made
that really got me. I did not expect that. That was a lovely story. I was like, oh,
you know."
wait, what? That was wonderful.
So we have to be human. We have to be good business people, and then there's one big thing. The real goal in business to me is gaining, maintaining a competitive advantage in your chosen markets and endeavors to not only get to the top and stay there, but always increase your lead. And I asked to see if you agree with that. Oh, we do. So the only way I know you can do it is by consistently meeting and or exceeding the valid requirements and expectations and decision criteria of your customers and prospects better than all their alternatives. Do you agree? He says, yeah. I says, do you know what it is? And I presented to 200 groups of 15 CEOs in a group for Vistage. So all my stuff's been vetted. Imagine 3,000 of these guys had to spend
Sure.
a day with me, right? So what happens is all of a sudden we're in that position, and we can just do so much more now than we ever could before with these people. It was crazy. So I basically like working with people that way. So again, taking all this information, packaging it, making it sensible to people, and making it easy for them to embrace and to execute is really important.
Sure. Well, it sounds like things are going well for you and your business. As you're looking towards the future, I was wondering if or how you create passive income, or if have invested in the past.
I did invest in the past, and luckily um, I found a way of creating something with people, and I'm making money as we speak, which is really nice, which is cool. Okay, so I did the right thing to go in and create passive income, and everyone should be doing that. And and I do want to stay active because I enjoy what we're doing.
Sure.
Every day you do something, you learn something new, and I'm teaching people who are really good how to do things even better. So imagine the impact you have if we can transfer what we have to the next generation and save them a lot of grief, and a lot of people make a lot of bad decisions, and we want,
Sure.
and there's a critical uninformed critical decision-making crisis happening right now, where up to 50% of the failed businesses are really caused by uninformed critical decision-making, unnecessarily failed. So in 2016, 400,000 companies of a certain type started, but 470,000 failed. That
Hmm.
means 235,000 companies unnecessarily failed. If they had 10 employees, that's 2,350,000 people unemployed. If you add a spouse and a kid, it's 7 million people. Then what about the local community? So I, I'm learning now to use the computer and ask questions because I didn't know all these things before. So now uh, uh, everyone should be asking the questions. I don't have to have what that stuff or wait for a professor. I just ask the question in the computer and it comes out. So
Sure.
there's no excuses anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love Chat GPT. It's like my right hand. I mean, I use that in so many different ways. I mean, in the box and out of the box. I mean, from little things of, let's say I have a handful of ingredients in the refrigerator and I have no idea what to do with them. I'll throw it in there to find a recipe and it comes out with 5 different recipes. Or if I need to know something about a specific market, and I'll ask a question and then it'll answer it. And then I know how to ask a question, another follow-up question to get a little deeper in understanding. And it goes back and forth because the artificial intelligence is also getting to know me as a person and how I think and
Yeah,
how I process things,
yeah.
how I internalize them, how I put them out there. So it gets better at finding what I'm looking for.
And when we talked about knowledge doubling and now it's
Sure.
doubling. So what happened is if all the knowledge available to mankind was a haystack, and in that haystack there's gold needles. That's the critical information we need, to solve to handle our customers. If you look at all the doubling, that haystack from 1900 to now, we can have haystacks from here to Mars. Now,
Oh
you and I don't
gosh.
have the time to go through that many
Right.
haystacks. And,
Right.
and the needles, some are disappearing, some are becoming more important. So we have to embrace technology to do things that we don't want to do or can't do to survive and prosper. Because we're on a
Sure.
treadmill, it's going faster and higher. We're juggling 42 balls and knives and you name it. So we have to learn how to get on and stay on the change train to survive and prosper here,
I
and
agree.
to
Yeah.
embrace technology and others. But it's exciting. I mean,
That
I
is exciting.
I mean just
It's you're learning at a much faster rate than ever before. I mean, I grew up where I'd have to go to the library and had to do a report on any certain topic for whatever class. You went straight to the encyclopedia and started pulling your research from there. I mean, that took days, that took weeks, that took months, that took a
and the
year.
encyclopedias you need the updates and they're
Right
obsolete.
now, it's like in a matter of minutes, you have this.
And
So it's a blessing, but it can also be a curse on how it's depending on how you utilize it, and what your angle is in using that and what you're looking to do. But gosh, I mean, I see it as such a positive, just a add on in life.
because you're bright and you're intelligent. A lot of people, as we get older, are afraid of fear and failure and rejection, and it's so scary. I can't do that. They can, and it could be made very easy. So what we have to do is take everyone of every age and show them how wherever you are, it's going to help you. And so, uh, and God help the people who can't keep up technologically. It's gonna,
Sure,
yeah, gonna,
sure.
it's gonna be very difficult. So I never was that great student, whatever. But I didn't wasn't even asking the right questions. And all of a sudden, with the computer, I can ask questions. I asked what were 10 key factors. I went to did some research before our call, but right now I'm asking questions, and all of a sudden it's validating or invalidating or enhancing what I want to do, and let me differentiate and survive and prosper until my last breath. I mean, it's cool stuff.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I thank you for coming on. I appreciate your time today. So, if anyone wanted to connect with you, how do they connect with you?
Okay, it's my website is Opportunity Maximizers, and they can call me, it's Marty Jacknis, and I'm president, and my number is 516-816-4464. And my website is martyjacknis@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to talk. I'm looking for strategic alliances right now because I don't want to rebuild a new company, because I've been doing that with that
Sure.
company, but I want to get companies that really want new information where they can go into their existing customers and create self-funding programs where they're going to make money. It's not going to cost them money, because I'm not a customer. I'm something which is going to make you money while we do it. So I want to go in and transfer my intellectual capital. Maybe we'll do some videos and things like that together, and I can transfer that into the next generation so I could smile when they close the coffin.
That
So,
would be wonderful.
proactive, good people that really want to leverage that, and we complement each other with our weaknesses and our strengths is what I want to do, because I don't want to do it. I don't want to rebuild another company at this point in time.
Sure.
I want to take companies that have made it and now know that they don't know and don't have those other critical pieces there. So it's like adding gasoline to their fire. And
Absolutely.
I'm looking for those kind of people.
All right, guys. If anybody out there fits that role or has the same perspective and is looking to collaborate on that level, you know how to reach Marty. So you have his number, you have his website, and you have his email. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. And thank you, Marty.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.